Hey guys, and welcome back to ScarletSprites. A few weeks ago, I teased a pic of a Midway SportStation control panel sitting in the back seat of a friend's truck. Well, as you might expect, picked up a little more than just the control panel, and I thought it'd be worth showing that off today. The Midway SportStation marks my 5th cabinet, and it's one that I've been looking for quite some time. Before I had the space that I do now, I was always trying to get bang for the buck out of a cabinet. And by that I mean, I wanted to know that it wasn't going to be used for a single game. Those of you who have seen some of the other videos that I do know that I have a CPS2 multi running in my Astro City, a Naomi 2 net boot in the Blast, and the Neo Geo 4 slot kind of speaks for itself. This isn't quite as versatile, but it does sport two of my favorite arcade sport games of all time, NFL Blitz and NBA Showtime. One of the things I really liked about this particular cabinet was that it was a factory SportStation from Midway and not a conversion kit. A lot of times you will see old Blitz, Hang Time, or even NBA Jam cabinets that have been converted to a SportStation. They generally have a small side art sticker placed on either side, and depending on how the machine started its life, may or may not have a medium resolution monitor. For me, I wanted the full SportStation art in all its glory, including the control panel wrap, and then of course, the medium resolution monitor. Speaking of the control panel, this is also the first 4-player cabinet that I've picked up, which should yield some fun 2-on-2 matchups. As some of you saw earlier with the photo, the control panel can be easily removed. You simply unplug the wiring, take out 4 screws, and the entire piece then lifts off the cabinet. While this makes the cabinet marginally lighter, it's also a must if you plan on fitting the machine through a doorway. The joysticks are Midway's 49-way design and not the traditional 8-way digitals you'd find on many other machines. These feel relatively stiff, but in a good kind of way. Kind of like how you don't want your N64 analog stick loose and fumbling around. I did find that the player 3 stick is a little off and grinds on the access underneath. Going to remove it and see if I can fix it up, but in the meantime I was able to snag a replacement for 20 bucks on eBay. The Plexi that covers the control panel is also scratched up, as you might expect, and further, it looks like some careless person was spray painting nearby as there are small white speckles across the top. This is easily replaced, however, with a freshly cut new piece of Plexi. The old panel comes off after removing just a few screws and then the push buttons. I also wasn't a fan of the black T-molding on the cabinet, which, to be fair, wasn't in terrible shape, but it also wasn't the best. I posted a poll on Twitter asking if I should go purple or gold with the new T-molding, and it was a near 50-50 split. Purple did win out, and I do have some chrome T-molding on the Virtua Fighter cab, so I decided purple was probably the best choice here in order to not over bling things. I think it looks pretty good and it matches up well with the art and the control panel graphics. Working our way up the cabinet, the next thing I noticed was that I was only getting sound out of the left speaker. So I took the speaker grate off and removed the marquee header, looked inside, and well, there only was a left speaker, nothing on the right side, so that mystery was easily solved. The wiring for the right speaker was fixed to the top of the cab, so this was a pretty easy hookup. I referenced the SportStation manual for the part number, Googled that, and bought a right speaker. Easy drop-in replacement, and the sound works great from both sides now. The last cosmetic piece to address here was the marquee. First was the fact that it didn't light up, which is often the case with older machines and having burned out bulbs. As is the case with my other cabs, I decided to switch this over to an LED bulb. They're just much less hassle, very bright, low wattage, and give off a lot less heat. You'll notice on the back of the original marquee that it has really yellowed due to the original CFL. In the spirit of not totally trashing original parts, I cut the power wire in a way that would allow a future owner to wire the original ballast back up if they really wanted to, leaving enough of a lead that they could strip and then twist it back together with a wire connector. I used the same method to connect my new LED bulb, and that cost just 12 bucks. As for the marquee itself, you'll see that it shows NFL Blitz Gold Edition and NBA Showtime. No Gold Edition. This marquee is for version 1.5 of the SportStation combo, and I know that I want to upgrade that to version 3, which is the Gold Edition of both games. Now, more on that later. I found a new old stock SportStation marquee that featured the Gold Edition of both games on it, cut it to fit my cabinet, and then put everything back together. Now I've got a new marquee that is LED lit that should last for years without burning out or yellowing the plastic. With most of the cosmetics on the front now covered, let's take off the back panel and take a look at what's driving this machine. This is really cool. I like how easily accessible everything is here. The main board is laid out right in front of you along with the fans you see that are cooling everything down. You'll also notice that aside from the main board, which is a Midway Vegas model, there is an actual hard drive inside that stores the game data. Now, I just mentioned that the version of the game was 1.5 and that I wanted to upgrade that to 3.0, which I believe is the final revision of the SportStation cabinet. In doing that, I also took the opportunity to eliminate the hard drive entirely and move to a compact flash card. I picked this flash card up from arcadeservice.com. This is a website that sells a variety of replacement drives for various Midway titles. Also of note here is that you'll need a new security pick and boot EEPROM that matches the version of the game data. So in total, 2 chips and a compact flash card. All this stuff is plug and play though, which makes the process pretty simple. You just need to locate the old security pick and boot chip on your board and then swap them out with the new ones. The compact flash card plugs directly into the IDE slot on the board too. Once everything is in, you can flip the switch and you should see that the game is now version 3.0 upon boot. Now the last internal I'll note here is the Voodoo graphics card that's plugged directly into the CPU board down below here. Some of you PC gamers may remember these Voodoo cards from back in the day when they really were the upper echelon of PC gaming. If you're wondering, I have read that you can replace this with a consumer Voodoo Banshee card provided that it is the CT6760 model, which may come in handy if you ever burn through your original in the cabinet. I haven't been able to test that statement yet myself, but I should be able to confirm that a CT6760 works in the next few weeks or so. Also note the fan that is placed directly over the heatsink of the card. This can get pretty hot, so definitely make sure your fans are up and running. I had one which was already out, and so I replaced it with a 80 by 80 by 25 12-volt computer fan. So that is my new machine, guys. I am pretty happy to have finally found a dedicated SportStation cabinet. Overall, it's in pretty good shape, not mint by any stretch, but good shape, and now fully functional with a few fixes and upgrades. Blitz is just that classic football game that I have never lost any love for, and while NBA Jam will probably always be the arcade basketball game, Showtime is a nice runner-up, being that it is essentially the 1999 sequel to NBA Jam. I was never really a fan of Hang Time. I always thought that the graphics were just a little off on that one, and I never liked the announcer, so thankfully, Showtime puts the game's calls back in the hands of the original and iconic NBA Jam announcer, Tim Kitzrow.
Whoa, boom shakalaka!
That's it for today, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. As always, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you all next time. Later, guys.